Hello everyone and welcome to another Division 2 video. Today with not a league but a regular tournament cast, and this is actually one of my own casts. I have been inspired a little bit by Yapasa because yeah, sometimes watching your own replays can be a little bit boring, but you still want to do it and should do it sometimes. So this way you can make it a little bit more interesting for yourself, and you get a video out of it too, so that's kind of a win-win. And so this was a blast of a game against Noizi, but also I felt like during playing that there's some things that I really should pay attention to. So this is why I want to rewatch this and try to learn from this. And yeah, so this was the March, I think. No, I think it was March monthly tournament in the Bootcamp Discord, and the rules were as follows: that you get 5 divisions randomly, of which your opponent gets to ban 2, and then you can pick among the remaining 3. And I was a little in a rough spot here because my opponent, Noizi, he got 4th US, Kessel, and 715th. And then 2 divisions that he was never going to pick to begin with. I, on the other hand, had Wessex, also 4th US, division mirrors were allowed, and SSB. And also 2 divisions I was never going to play. Now, by the look of at this, you can see that his selection of 3 divisions that he might want to play are definitely better than mine. So for me, it was pretty clear he was going to ban SSB and 4th US, of course. That would leave Wessex as the only half-playable division here. I don't actually remember what the other ones were. And he had... I then had the choice, what do I want to ban? And I just kind of decided to leave 4th US open because I felt like I was not going to be able to win in the open well enough with Wessex against any of those to make up for losing at the flanks. Right, if against Kessel or 715, I would have lost the flanks 100%. And especially against 715, I think the center would also have been a little bit rough. Against Kessel, maybe a bit less so, but even Kessel has tools for that. So I was a bit afraid of that. So I decided that, the light armor of 4th US, my division can probably handle best, and it should actually be better at CQC, at least by C-phase. And I went for balance because of fun. It surely wasn't the best pick, but I felt like it was a fun pick. So yeah, this is how we ended up here. And I think now we have to go and look at the decks. And we start with 4th US Armoured. I think the division doesn't need a lot of intro. One of the strongest, if not the strongest divisions overall at the moment. Recon W brings a regular recon, then 2 cards of M8 for all the spamminess, Cavalry Scouts and AP as well, with the 50 cal half track, and then the straight recon in B phase. Infantry tab, of course, absolutely phenomenal. Except for the CQC. We do have armored rifles LMG in A phase together with engineers and rifles late and armored rifles. A little bit of an overkill there, but I'm a little bit surprised about the armored rifles, to be honest, but I think he just wanted to have more infantry with bazooka. Although, I don't know, personally I don't really see the value in having them, but that's just me. In B and C phase, you do get armored rifles BAR, coming in with the not 50 cal half track, and then the engineers in B phase with the 50 cal half track as well. Tank tab, the Steward, and then the Sherman 75, which of course is up armored, more of those in leader variants, and then in as the Rhino as well, of course. Then in B phases you get the Sherman 76s. I say it every time, and I say it again. In my opinion, the best medium tank in the game. Support tab, flamethrowers, then the M8 Scott for some more light armor spamminess. 50 cal, of course, in the fast transport, because why not? The 105 and ammo. AT tab, quite light actually. Did not expect that when I was playing against him. He only has 1 card of M1 gun, and then of course the Hellcats, which is not surprising. A8 tab, M15s, it's okay. I think that's all there is. Artillery tab, quite surprising, for me at least. He brings the 60mm mortars and brings 8 of them, which is a little bit of an overkill. He also brings in the half track, which is, in my opinion, quite unnecessary. I mean, you pay an extra price for what? It's not really needed. I personally would double vet them, but that's me, because I don't think you're going to bring in 8. And then on the M7 in A phase already, and then only B phase, the artillery leader. Air type, some recon, P47s as fighters in A phase, and then fighter bombers in B phase. Also, I don't know. Personally, I just don't think there is a point in taking fighters these days. I just rather take a fighter bomber because they usually does the job anyway. And if you ever get a chance of catching a plane, fighter bomber usually will do the job as well. And you can use it for fighter bomber as bomber afterwards as well. But that's my opinion. And I think with that, we gotta go over to Wessex.
And here is my build of Wessex, and I know I'm gonna get a lot of shit for this, and I can tell you my reasoning in a bit, and also what other options I was considering. So I think we're gonna start with the recon tab. So one thing that of course was aware is that I might get spammed by light armor, and it might be hard to handle. So I decided to just take all the Hummers that I can get in A phase. They're quite spammable, and that might be able to give me, you know, some options to play against all his light armor. Maybe actually rush him somewhere a little bit, maybe bully him a little bit somewhere, because I was of course also aware that he might bring some more armored rifles LMG, and that he also could potentially bring a few cards of rifles late. So not everything that he would bring would have bazookas. That was kind of my expectation. So I thought that the Humber might actually be a decent choice there. And then I wanted to have the assault troop for the 50 calibers. I felt like 50 cal half track. I kind of want to have some of these as well against him. Also, the assault troop is a really nice recon in the manner. It's basically a motorized rifles, but you get radio on top of it as well. It's in the recon tab, so nothing to complain there. Should you probably vet it? Probably yes, but I want to have more of them, more half tracks. And that's actually all there is in terms of recon, which is why in the artillery tab I actually took the spotters to have some actual recon as well, because of course I was not going to use all the assault troops always for recon. Now, yeah, I think that's kind of what it came down to. Now, the other option, of course, would have been to take some Hummers in B if you can. I don't actually know. We can check real quick. Yeah, you can. But I have one cut of Honey Suicide, and I felt like that would do the job. I'd rather have the speed in A phase. I think that was my reasoning there. Now in the infantry tab, I usually like to rush out the field engineers in A phase with this division, because I think you have the speediness. It's kind of like your flamethrower, but with a TNT. It's not as good, but still works. But in this case, my thinking was kind of in A phase, you will have the flamers. In B phase, you will have only engineers. And in that case, my field engineers might be able to trade up, whereas in A phase, they would just get overwhelmed by flamers. So that's why I took the assault engineers in A phase specifically, even though I would usually probably not do it. And then, of course, only rifles. But yet, I was thinking about the, what are they called? The Dutch units as well, also in the recon tab, but I just couldn't fit them in there anymore. And in the infantry tab, so the one that I would have considered would have been, I'm just going to look at it, gonna do this, not the lazy way today. I was considering this, the Gamot Marineers, probably pronounced wrong, because it can kind of act as a hybrid unit, right? The reason why I decided not to do this was that I felt like I would really need the Piats, all the Piats that I could get. So this is why how this happened. And then I took all the special units in C phase. Now, why did I do that? Because 3 units is really a bit of an overkill. Let's be honest. It's probably not the smartest choice. But I felt like I didn't really need more in B phase. I was kind of happy with most things anyway. These guys I really wanted, because then I can dominate the force in C phase, and that should be uncontestable for 4th US at this point. And then these guys are, of course, just great. And these guys I just took because I wanted to have more Piats, and I was not sure if 18 line infantry in C phase would do the trick. Tank tab, Fireflies in A and B phase, none in C phase, because I felt like I will probably need them earlier on to even stand a chance. And the Steward in B phase just to have another light armor spam to counter his light armor spam. Support tab, 2-inch mortar, because he has better light infantry than I do. Vickers in A and B phase to kind of, make up for my bad light infantry ammo kind of must take. At T-tab, I decided to go only for 6-pounders. The one with ABCR and the one without ABCR both in A phase. Why? Because I feel like having more 6-pounders would be beneficial, but I also wanted to have the ABCR if it was ever needed. And then more in B phase, I felt like I would probably, if it really comes down to needing 2k and a lot of it, more than the Fireflies, would probably be screwed anyway. So I decided that the 6-pounder would do, because I also don't have the 2k yet at all. A tab, just both was artillery tab spotters, and I felt like 25-pounder Saxons should do the trick. Air tab, I was planning on going spammy on him. I felt like that was kind of my salvation, so I took the rocket plane A and B phase to deal with his armor. Spitfire, just so that I have a fighter if I ever need one, and I do have the rockets too for some support, and then of course the air spam in C phase. And here we are, back with the deployment. So get ready for some meme action. I do want to say that, these kind of tournaments, at the moment, everything that is not League for me is a tournament that I play. I still want to win, but I play it semi-serious. I try new stuff and see what works. sometimes there's a tournament where I say like, okay, this is where I really want to do my best and perform as good as I can. And other tournaments, I'm more in a mood for trying things out. So, and this was one of them. So he down south, Noizi decided to go not super heavy. He pushes a little bit into it, but not super strong. That was kind of something that I was expecting. I was actually expecting more of this, if we're going to be honest. And then just defensive here on the southern hill. Now in the center, this is where he actually goes ham. These two very typical pushes. He actually tries to get into here as well, into this flag, because you kind of need to secure that one, and then support weapon. I think there's a machine gun. Yeah, that was a machine gun over there. But yeah, flamers, lots of fast support weapons, and of course light armor spam, but only one I made. So not that much. I actually expected a lot of those. Now then, I've also decided to go defensive. I kind of wanted to sneak this behind the lines. I didn't really think about that too much. I was thinking there might not be that much armor coming here. But what I also was not thinking about is that most of his infantry, if not all, will probably be coming half tracks anyway. So this thing, even though I hope that he could, you know, kill some transport, would actually not have been able to do so. And then I just have some rifles peered here. The reasoning being for these positions that I didn't expect to push super hard here with CKC. I was more concerned about light armor rushing through, so I tried to put them in positions where, you know, they can definitely shoot their Piat without being outranged by light armor. Now here we come to the special and the weird deployment. As you can see, there's a lot of Humbers here, and that has a good reason. So I expected him to rush here a lot. Now, one thing that I underestimate a little bit is how big that speed difference really shows, and you're going to see that in a bit. But I felt like, you know, I can't select them all now. That sucks. But if I just rush through here with some Humbers, I can kind of stop that rush into, because I was really expecting a big push through here. I might actually be able to push back on the hill. I put one over here so that I finally know if this or this route here or this route here is faster. And we're going to see in a bit, so then you know as well. But yeah, that was kind of reasoning there. And then, of course, some infantry to actually be able to hold ground here. I actually had some infantry just sitting back here as well, because I was kind of expecting him not to have, which he did, any proper armor here on the hill. So I felt like if my Humbers can clear things out, I might be able to rush these up here then, and then, or in here actually. And then I might be able to grab some flags that I shouldn't be able to grab usually, and kind of, you know, get some momentum because of that. Because of course I was well aware that I was on the bad side, right? Blue is the bad side here. I was on the bad side against a really strong division that also has a good rush potential early on. So I was very much afraid of losing this entirely. And then, yeah, it would have been a very rough game at this point, I feel like. So I really want to make sure that this doesn't happen, and that I actually can turn this weakness into a strength somehow by grabbing these flags. Because of course, if I lose these 3 flags and then Maverick kicks in B phase, I'm absolutely screwed. Now, I have more Humbers here, also pushing here, and I'm pushing up here and trying to put something in here, and I even try to grab these 2 flags as well. I'm not actually going for this town, in my opinion. That's a trap. It usually doesn't work. Then I just have a Humber here for some help if I get rushed. Some rifles and some assault engineers here to kind of also use the Piat defensively, but also hold ground over there. Now, he goes defensive in the town and defensive up north, and with that, I'm talking way too long already, and I think we're just going to start. So, yeah, but this is going to be a spectacle. Now, we can actually also see now which one is faster. I was always wondering, and I guess we now know. I actually don't remember, so it's good that I rewatched this, because then I know finally. I'm guaranteed not gonna forget it again. But yeah, it looks like this way is faster. So now we know. Now we know. I was for the most part deploying from here. Might also be equal if these were not right at the same position, but it might also be that it's a little bit faster. But yeah, you can see the speed difference that I was kind of underestimating. These guys, of course, in fast transport, I was aware of the fast transports, but yeah, I kind of underestimated how that would look in reality. M1 can here deployed really aggressively. I was not expecting that for sure. M8 just pushing through flamethrower here. I tried to stop that, but I can't. M8 here. But 50 cal is there as well to with my assault. I didn't really expect that. I expected either an armor rush or the 50 cal, but not both of them. Assault engineer gets in, but flamethrower is trying to unload that. Gets out, but it's going to get double teamed now. Rifle speared, I was kind of expecting to be able to push through here, and then I realized a little bit too late that I can't. Problem is there's too much here now for the assault engineers, and I have to pull it back, and I think it will get surrendered. Now my push here managed to kill off the flamethrower, and he managed to kill off the M8. And it's even gonna suppress the M1 gun, but the problem is the Sherman 75 is now gonna come in. That's gonna be a different thing. Now I was just desperately trying to just pin it so that I can continue my push, but that doesn't really work out. And the Spitfire was probably a really bad investment. 15-9 for Noizi, and I have lost the town, which is what I really wanted to avoid. Absolutely. As I realized that there was a major push here, I decided to shift things and first of all get the Hummers to safety here, but also then to try to make some ground over here, because this is what I realized. I felt like, okay, there was a massive push here, so it can't be super strong over there, and I tried to shift my Hummers right away. This is something that I think is definitely something to learn from, something that you should do more often. Now here I just blindly rush my Hummers through, and Noizi instantly continues his attack, right? He sensed my weakness here, and he kind of felt like that's the problem with this push, right? There was nothing to back it up. Like, even if that succeeded, and I was gambling on that it succeeds and that I can grab some ground and kind of get the momentum and surprise him and then make ground somewhere else. Like, these two were I was never aiming for those to be permanent holds, but just permanent grasp, which is like a momentary thing, but it didn't even work out. So, and here I had my Hummers, and they were quite useless now. Noizi, of course, pushing forward with his M8 Scots. Now my Hummers here unfortunately get stuck on 50 cals. I have to move them manually. Also, of course, try to avoid the line of sight for the Sherman. He brings an M1 gun in already. I actually spotted that coming in. So I expected that there would be a gun. Now these guys managed to kill off that M8, and I think they spotted the flamethrower here. Did they? Yeah, they did. But that was huge for me, because that told me that I can 100% I can get this flag now. So that brings it to 14-10. That was all that mattered to me. I also tried to push forward here, realizing that there was basically nothing here. M8 kills my recon half-track. I still have the rifle speed and assault European defensive positions. M8 is now pushing in, but of course can't stop it. But the armored rifles are already arriving there as well. I do have some rifle speed in position now. My spotters here actually got in and remained there, which is absolutely clutch. One Hummer here down, or oh no, it just repositioned, but it lost line of sight on the flamethrower. I brought the rifle speed in here. I actually wanted to bring it to the town, but I of course saw the Jeep arriving, or whatever that is, arriving here, and realized that it's probably an AT gun, and I brought my rifle speed there to intercept that. 50 cal here continued to be annoying. Sherman just pushing through, but I was afraid of him doing that, so I brought the 6-pounder in here just for defensive, and then I actually want to position it more aggressively to kind of, as he push forward, to, you know, kill these armor and then be able to push back in. But now it just so happened that this thing, I had to unload it a bit early, but it just so happened to be in a perfect spot to deal with the armor. Humbers killed one M8 Scott. The other one might go down. 6-pounder now opening up on the Sherman. Misses though. Another 6-pounder here already sneaking in. I wanted to have it in like a position like somewhere over here eventually. Rifle speed here was forced off by the light armor. These flag guns have still nothing happening. It brought back to 1311 with re-grabbing this flag and grabbing this one. Humbers here versus Hellcats, of course. Not a good fight for the Humber. 6-pounder versus M8 Scott. Not a great fight for either of those, I would say. Both of those can definitely die. Now we do see some light armor and infantry coming in, but the rifle speed, of course, being forced off at this range. Humber tries to do something against it, but the M8 should be able to win out against those. I think it will go down. There it goes. Misses the M8 too. Flamethrower here still alive, but it is in a really weird spot. I think I actually noticed this too. So that rifle speed managed to kill it off. Gives me another flag, brings it back to 12-12. But I have already bled quite a bit, and trades were not fantastic, I think. And we have the Hellcat, so the center is still pretty problematic. He has actually spotted the 6-pounder here. I'm surprised about him spotting this. I don't think he killed anything at this point, but the M8 might have. No, the M8, the recon maybe. I brought in a Spitfire to soften up this, and I was hoping to be able to push back in with the rifle spear, which is now coming. The problem is the flamethrower was not pinned yet. Humber, I don't know what it spots. Did it spot the M8? I think it did, yeah. and it misses, whereas the M8 did not. 50 cal here also being a problem. Another Hummer goes down to the either the M1 gun or the Hellcats. Rifle spear being forced back. Is now spotted by the M8 and gets absolutely smacked. 6-pounder here moving into position just to cover off the open there. 12 health though, so not too bad, but of course with Maverick being still coming, I was not very happy at this point. 6-pounder here on the hill though finds an M8 that can be happy with that. Now I also decided to send an assault engineer that used to be here to try and kind of push here a little bit. Choose to see if I might be able to grab a flag. Maybe 6-pounder kills the M8. I don't know what spot's probably the half track, but the half track, unfortunately for myself, moves out of position soon enough. Now Noizi actually trying to get a little push up north going, which is definitely reasonable. I have a Sherman coming to reinforce a town at this point and a leader for doing the same thing as well. But my push is not super well supported. More 6-pounders coming in. I felt like I need one here to with that M8 and potential other stuff. I did bring in a 2-inch mortar to deal with that. I kind of blind fired, I think. Problem is the flamethrower right here also exists, and the engineer, while it might get pinned, which it doesn't, yeah, is still alive, and now the M8 is pushing through. I do have a rifles leader here with a PR. I was kind of hoping for this to kill it, and I was really, really mad when this thing managed to drive through before the rifles leader could shoot. 6-pounder coming in, another 6-pounder being here for backup. I was not really sure if and where I might need it, so but I want to have it there. Assault engineers managed to get in, should win against the rifles late at this range, one would think, thanks to the flamethrower. Rifles late actually does a lot of that suppression before... No, it should go down, yeah, before it goes down. There we go. Engineer here is a little bit of a problem because the rifle pit, of course, cannot really push up close. I get this flag for a little bit, brings it back to brings the 13 level for me for the first time, but that, of course, is not really meant to last. I do have a 6mm mortar up here, which is definitely annoying. Now, it does something really unexpected, which is smoking this off. I guess he expected an AT gun in there, but there was none. Now, the 6mm mortar used for smoke I can kind of get behind, because as a fast rate of fire, it has 25, still a decent amount of smoke rounds, and you can smoke like a small area like that. Humber here being able to force off the half track, but of course there's 2 stewards already coming in, and the Hummer doesn't really stand a chance against that. Rifle Spirit, unfortunately, can still be spotted by the half tracks from there. I decided to get behind the building and just hide and hope that I might be able to snipe something, turn off auto cover, things like that. Spitfire is coming in again. I'm not 100% sure actually if I bought 2 of them or just 1. But at least I decided to just use it whenever I can. And I felt like this might bring me a flag, which it did. So that brings it back to 13-11 once again. I did bring in an early 25-pounder because I felt like I would really need that to soften up like some spots here in the town, some spot in this town, this thing right here, and maybe even support weapons. He also brought in an M7 at this point, and he's going after my 2-inch mortar. Down south, not much happening. I reposition my rifle speed a little bit. I start pushing forward with the assault troop, just to kind of scout out what's there. I was kind of hoping that maybe I could eventually position somewhere here and kill some things with the Piat or something like that. More Hummers now coming in, as I felt like there were not that many tanks, so maybe the light armor can still do some work. Sherman here trying to work his way up here. Now, at this point, I've noticed that there's basically no infantry with bazookas yet, so I was feeling a little bit ballsy with my Shermans and felt like I might actually be able to work. 25-pounder now opening up. I was well aware that I still have a spot run leader here, so the radio should be quite accurate. And I was just trying to find whatever is here and kill that, so that I could finally, you know, get that flag back. As I was aware, I didn't see anything coming back through here, so I was kind of feeling like there's not much, there can't be much here. But I was fully unaware of how big the scale was up here. And I was pushing very balls with the Sherman, definitely something that I would 100% not recommend. And here's another mistake that I think I called these in desperately because I didn't have any CQC left, as it was still A phase, now it's B phase, and I could call in the field engineers. But just called in units that were just not very good for the spot they were in. And it was just desperate unit calling, which is never really a good idea. I have the Sherman pushing forward here. I saw infantry in half tracks and I was kind of like, yeah, maybe that's not a good idea. But was still feeling ballsy at that point. Killed one half track with the armored rifles, but I think I saw what it was and decided I don't want to stick around there too much. Sherman here is also in a very risky position, but this flag unfortunately re-grabbed by the armored rifles. In the meantime, though, my 25 pounder finally managed to kill off that flamer, so it brings it back to 12-12. But Noizi has now unlocked his full potential, and that's gonna hurt, because it is Maverick. Now, Assault Troop here actually pay off as they managed to kill off a half-track. It is, of course, a good range for the bazooka unit. Unfortunately, here I group everything up a little bit, but it still works out, because field engineers are just spammy as fuck. Something killed off my half-track. I don't really know what that was. Assault Troop here will run into the 50 cal, and I think I was raging a little bit as it missed, and then got pinned. Yeah, that was that one. I remember some things like that. And yeah, this thing was already super annoying. This thing actually did a lot of work. You might not see it, but it did a lot of pinning up here and even in the town at some point. So I was getting super annoyed and decided to get rid of that. And then I still want to get rid of this flamethrower because I, of course, wanted to make sure that I can re-grab some flags, make it a little bit harder for him to actually get flags. So I really wanted to clear this out, and I just kind of guessed that if I put it here, I was expecting it to be either here or here, and just decided to bomb this twice. And it's still within radio range, so I felt like it should probably do decent damage. Now my field engineer here doing some extra work, my Sherman here still in a very risky spot. That's definitely dangerous. Half-track here getting killed by the Sherman. Sherman doing wild things as the armored rifles could potentially swing. These were like, it's surprising that this thing didn't die early. That this thing didn't get killed earlier. Now, of course, it's the Sherman 75 managed to do the job. Assault engineers, unfortunately, were in a bad position where the armor could see it. It's kind of hard to find a good spot here where the armor can't see it from all the angles. So, yeah. Choose poorly. 13-11 for Noizi, and he's still doing a good job of pressuring me at this flank. Now, I'm going to be very honest, after how the start went and the big push here, I was already starting to consider just surrender and call it a day. Once again, this is one of the turns where I decided to just... I wanted to have some fun, and I felt like, okay, it's already going super badly. It's not going to get better, especially with the Maverick income. But for some reason, I don't really know why I decided to hold on. I think it kind of, when I started to get some ground here back, and even managed to get some ground in the town, I felt like, okay, maybe we can give this a try. And but yeah, unfortunately, still 13-11. Not looking very good. My 25 pounders all doing overtime. Already running low in ammo, and it didn't actually achieve much right here as of yet. 50 cal is still being a major annoyance and really hard to deal with, to be actually. I'm always saying, to be honest, don't want to do that, so to be honest, no. Just kidding. M7 in the meantime going after my 6 pounder here on the hill, which has been doing good work, but he's in a rough spot right now. Yeah, I think I just saw these and decided to go after them. I do have the Spitfire, so my thinking was basically, if my Air Force is just sitting idle, I waste a lot of points, so if I buy them, might as well use them. Now, this is the special rocket Spitfire from this division. I don't really remember why I brought it. I think I really just brought it in case I actually need fighters, and I didn't want to have the multi-purpose. And I also maybe wanted to try the rockets, I don't remember, but... I think the rockets are kind of underwhelming, but I mean, they managed to kill off the thing they should. Vic is trying to stop some infantry here, but the armor here is just pushing through. I did manage to bring in the Sherman into a nice little position here to kind of stop that a little bit, but it was also where I could not face check the Rhino, so I was trying to move back in a defensive position. My hope was basically I could, if something drives through here, I'd be able to pick up a side shot. I was also bringing a 6 pounder up here in the hopes of bringing like in a close position where it could potentially with an APCR kill off the Rhino. Humber also coming in to deal with light armor and infantry support. Not a 6 pounder coming in also just to stop this. I was kind of expecting him with how things here were going to push fully through here. So that was my main worry at this point. He also re-grabbed his flag with his engineer there. Half-track doing whatever it wants. I still... did not regain its flag. I kind of stabilized this, which I was very happy with. And south, still not much happening. I brought a honey steward just for defensive purposes and don't remember what I wanted to do with that field engineer. M7, meanwhile, going after this poor blob here once more. 6-pounder here actually gets spotted out. It doesn't really stand a chance against the Rhino, which it is going after at the moment. Rifles appeared here. Just, I don't know what that was trying. Catch the armored rifles, I guess. Sherman here on the run as I spotted the armored rifles just in time. Honey steward though, I didn't really realize that they might be endangered, so did nothing. And now we have a great play here by Noizi. So he softened up this area, right? And then he did a great play by now actually pushing the hill. This is not usually the first place you push, but you can definitely push here. Sometimes you see it even as a rush at the start. So, yeah. I think that is a very good play at that point. ABCR here wasted on the half track, unfortunately. Rifles split here in a bad spot, and of course the engineers are coming in first. Now I moved them forward as I spot the half tracks coming in, but it's kind of too late. 6-pounder moving forward, hoping to be able to kill off some of the armor. Another 6-pounder moving in position. I retreat my rifle speared and decided to go in again. I don't really know what the plan there was. And now armor is following up, and I am desperately calling in rifle speed to stop things here, and a 6-pounder in case he breaks through, as I was way too late realizing that he was actually going to break through. And it's all of a sudden 59 for Noizi. Rifle speed here got down as well. I tried to push forward into here, and she now walks all the way over here, trying to get some ground there. After here, shot up by the Humber. I think I decided to unload that early. No? No, I didn't. No, I did. Early and now still too late. 6-pounder also unloading, trying to stop the steward there. Spitfire getting in, and I don't remember what I targeted that one with. 6-pounder here survives the half track somehow. You have 2 more 6mm mortars up north, and these are absolutely back-breaking for me. 25-pounder was moved a little bit further back. Now again going after the flamethrower freshly supplied, trying to clear it out so that I can finally re-grab that flag, which would be very beneficial for me. Rifle speed here, being in a rough spot, although the armored rifles of course not the best tool to deal with them. Now for some reason this half-track doesn't spot the 6... Oh no, it's too close to shoot with the machine gun, so the 6-pounder can basically just take care of that nice and easy. That was very lucky for me there, but we do have more infantry already coming in. Oh, but the Sherman snipes them. Woo! Down south, more field engineers coming in, as I've not noticed this right there. But we do have more light armor that's stopped by the Sherman. Up north, I actually managed to push back a little bit. But Noizi was definitely not just sitting there doing nothing. He builds up more infantry. He still has some half-tracks for support. He has the 6mm mortars, of course, which are already going after some of my units. Now, this is, I think, a little bit of a miss-micro going after Sherman. You can definitely kill it. It's not that you can't, but it needs to sit there for a while. And I feel like infantry is probably more of a problem for him than armor is. That's just my opinion. Rifles late here, managed to force off my rifle speed. Honestly, you're just sitting there idle. So one thing that's definitely something I learned from this is, if you have armor to support the infantry, you also need to use it. And of course, you might want to focus a little bit more on grabbing flags first, right? So this should have happened way earlier. That was definitely a major mistake there. 6-pounder being spotted by the 105, just getting killed off. 6-pounder here, I think killed off. Only the PS probably killed that off. Now up close, I felt like the rifle spear should be able to win against the armored rifle spear, but we can see now if that's gonna actually happen or not. I'm not 100% sure how this works out. Actually, I don't remember. Flamethrower is still alive. 6-pounder being called in. The exact same spot, because this is just a very useful spot. It looks like the armored rifles PR is actually winning, so interesting to see. I did not know that. Engineers here looks like spotted my field engineers and has a little rifle duel. Now they get spotted by the Shermans. This is definitely not ideal. Half-track moving in. This time actually close to my leader, so maybe this time it can actually do something. 25-pounder still fails to kill that flamethrower. That is so frustrating. 6-pounder here finding the Hellcat. I mean, yeah, I loaded that, realizing this thing was there, decided to go after that. Noizi marks my 6-pounder once again. I think this was aimed at 6-pounder. And now it is C-phase, and I finally have good infantry, which is slow. So I bring the Descent, Sturmovi, and some Spadochroniarce, the sniper ones, because I decided that it's time for a push down south, as I felt like I could definitely do much more here. This was kind of neglected by both players, and with how much was invested in the center first and then up north, I kind of felt like this was a good spot to poke at, as I was desperate for flags with the 1410 still. I just finally decided to push forward with my honey stewards and Shermans. Rifle spear are already coming in. I might be a little bit late. We have a lot of armored plays here. Engineers being rediverted or just unloaded. 60 mil is already going after where my infantry used to be. Rifle spear kind of misses the half track. Now it was spotted, but now it's going to run into armored rifles first. Engineer here, I'm not sure if that actually survives it. Rifle spear managed to kill and surrender. Now moving for the half track, but the engineers are already moving in. This field engineer, of course, here not being able to do much. 15-9 now as Noizi grabs this flag, kills off my rifle spear there with his rifle spear, so now we know the rifle spear wins out on that. My 25 pounder still going, oh no, killed that, but with the infantry here, of course, it's still not gonna get to grab that. I tried to bring some Spadochroniarce to hold that, and I decided to bring planes, which is probably not a good idea, to be honest. If you are getting pressured hard, you still should make sure that you have a front line going on and not overinvest into planes. And it's actually smoking, so you know that almost maybe a little bit of a close call. Now Noizi moved forward a little bit here into less defensive positions, but not trying to actually push there. I finally re-grabbed his flag as all of the infantry here is pinned, which brings it to a 1410 for me, very key. Now the honey steward here unfortunately is a little bit too close and it's going to get absolutely wiped. The half track here, recon half track, is also going to get killed. The assault troop here now opens up, which means that it reveals itself. I didn't really want that to happen because there's a Sherman 105 here that has a very good line of sight on that. Now a Rhino here is being fired at by the 6-pounder. Problem is the 6-pounder can't really pen it at that range. That was definitely far from ideal. Now down south, I pushed forward a little bit too far quickly with my infantry. Now my sniper infantry does a good job. Rifle spear was just immediately pinned, and all my CKC infantry now pushing forward along these edge. The problem is none of these have Piats. You really miss it when you play Piat infantry all the time. Honey steward is pushing in, but the problem is it kind of didn't spot it. Oh no, it spotted it first, but it misses. The recon steward does not, and of course this is double wet, this is single met. So I decided to bring in the Spitfire in. Oh no, it is not. This was not after the steward, my bad. It's going after the armored rifles LMG. Now I realized I was kind of hoping that maybe my flamethrowers might be able to kill that off, but the steward just moves out of range, and there we go. That's that. Now the infantry here is being forced off, which is great for me. Rifle spear here also in a nice spot to try and pressure the armored rifles there. Misses on the steward though, and it's just going to get pinned very, very quickly. There's a lot of going on all of a sudden. I did at some point build up to Fireflies and decided that now was the time to push forward, running into the 76 and the 105. Got a pen on the 105 though, which is great. Assault troop tries to move forward and kill off the armored rifles there. They're still hiding there. Meanwhile, yeah, my 25 pounder is going after the 50 cal. 105. I'm not going after the steward actually, didn't notice that. Goes down though. Up north though, I have been pushed back. I was kind of neglecting my stewards. They were killed off by armored rifles BR and by other stewards, which just have more veterancy. And then I was just pushed back off the hill. And yeah, things were not looking very good. Now I finally brought in a P-47 rocket plane to kill off that steward recon that was bothering me the whole time there. I just didn't have a good way to deal with that and decided that I was just gonna invest into this, as I will probably need at some point anyway. Now meanwhile the Rhino actually managed to push in a kill off the 6-pounder, encircling things here. The rifle stick killed the half-track that moved in here earlier, but now everything here is being threatened. Field engineers is the only thing that's holding there. Rifle spear gonna get shelled by the M7. Now the P-47 here is in. I still have vision on the Rhino and managed to get the kill. Spotters unfortunately were spotted and forced off the church tower, which is very unfortunate. 15-9 now as we are 5 minutes into C phase. And this, once again, this is something that is very, very common for these aggressive incomes that you get at the zenith of your power after your phases ended, because of course then all the infantry, not all the units that you bought are also on the front line, and your trades should start to add up. Fireflies here still doing Firefly things, but the 76 is moving forward to engage that. Double vet versus single vet, of course, not a good fight. Bounces though, Firefly gets the pen, and my infantry, my good infantry pushes in. Now they do have 3 stands and they're good ones, which is why I decided that I could potentially take this fight. Regrab the flag. Actually regrab this one too, which is not expected. Soul Troop moving up once again. 76 or the Hellcat kills the Firefly. I disengage with the other one and just try to bring it in a more defensive position to support this area right here. But now I have completely lost the southern town as I am trying to push though down south and making some good progress. So I got that flag. 14-10 once again. But of course only 7 minutes left for me, so it's not looking very good. Engineer here being forced out, but I'm very weak here and still trying somehow to get back on the hill. 6 pounder here gets spotted out. Does not open up. Oh yeah, because it is on what's it called? Efficient shot, and it's, at this range it's not really gonna pen that M4. Rifles pity falling back as I realized that this was probably an engineer here, but I am using my Raider infantry and pushing them forward. Both these have Raider trade, so I decided to just go for it, and I was hoping that I might somehow get this flag and be able to hold it. It's a 13-11, but that's still not a 12-12, which I need, and then of course I still need to be able to somehow grab ground back. Unfortunately for me, I pushed my TKC unit in a little bit of a weird spot, so that it's now not pushing through with TKC range, but actually using other ranged tools. Same for the field engineers, which spots this rifle slate and is shooting at it with its rifles instead of using the TNT. And the armored rifles LMG are supporting a little bit. Rifle spear moving forward, trying to help, but just gonna get overwhelmed. Honey Stewards unfortunately not in the spot where they can actually help. And now I move this forward to surrender the pinned unit, not realizing that there's another rifle late here, and instead of surrendering the rifles late, my own unit gets surrendered. And now the rifles are out in the open versus the rifles late, which are in cover, which is definitely not ideal. My Honey Stewards here though managed to grab the flag, bring it back to a 12-12. They have a very weird front line up north. Air spam has started. I brought another P-47, or maybe it's the same one, I don't actually remember 100%. And I bring my Piat infantry here into position. I realized that there's a huge blob. I decided to move across here, but I was pinned too fast. Things not looking super good. I bring another CQC unit in to try to deal with that. Once again going after the 60mm mortar, but it has moved. So I kind of missed out. These flags are just being so close to being grabbed, but the problem is I knew that I was aware that I couldn't deal with those units up here, and I was kind of too afraid to bring my Firefly forward, and later on also kind of just forget about that. Now rifles late pushed into good position here to kind of collapse this bubble. Sherman 76 now coming in as well, which should do well against the Honey Steward and the 50 cal to hold ground. I only have the rifles leader here, which is definitely not ideal. 2 more units coming in, so very interesting there. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely something that I think is something that you need to pay a lot more attention, or I need to pay a lot more attention to. I mean, this basically tells you these flags are basically yours if you can push forward just a little bit. Now, you need to work for that. It's not that it comes for free. You need to do something for it, but this is definitely something that you should try to do if you can see something like this, right? There might be some place, and I actually realized and brought the Vickers in now, but that's a little bit late, and only for this one, not for that one. And this one is, for this one's actually not even necessary. If I win this, which I would think I should be able to, then, you know, there's no pressure onto this flag, unless something's in there. But the Desandsturm Mobi win the fight and bring me back 2 flags. All of a sudden it's 13-11, so that was definitely a good call to go for there. I have no clue what the plan here was with bringing the leader in there, because this thing is not going to win against rifles late. Like, we have to be realistic here. Up north, I still try to push forward with my Raider infantry. I really tried to make the best out of it by pushing it, but it didn't really work. And now there was too much. I think in hindsight, it might have been not... Maybe it wasn't even too ballsy to try and go for this flag. Because at this range, you know, the Piat one can actually hold off some units, and you can put the CQC somewhere in the forest and be annoying there. Even if you put it in here, your opponent constantly need to put something there to stop that. So that might actually just work. And, you know, if it doesn't, then you just move it back here with the one brand to kind of help. Here I was just going after the one thing that I could see, which was the annoying steward. I could actually spot the Sherman a bit later on, but I just missed the opportunity. There are more armored rifles coming in to now try and hold this flag right there. So Noizi paying more attention to this than I do. 76 here, killing off my Honey Steward. My Honey Steward has to fall back. No, it does not. Never mind. So you can see infantry pushing forward, maybe a little bit too far. This is something that I definitely need to improve on. This happens to me so often. And I've noticed this a lot in recent games, that I just move way too far forward with my Seekers infantry. Then it ends up in weird spots where it just kind of sucks. P47 got in. I think I tried to go after the M15, but and using this as bait, hoping that I can actually kill that Sherman too. But unfortunately for me, it was forced off. I bring in more Vickers now to secure my push here. Sherman being in a spot where it's actually secure from these units right there. Because I think it's going to get sniped in transport. No, it does not. It's just going to get killed by the 105 now. 14-10 for me all of a sudden though. So I'm feeling very comfortable now. The army is still a massive pain. Rifle Spear tried to push forward, but finds up in the wisp. Maybe it could push forward and kill it. I think it might be in range. It's a recon suit, so I have to be careful. But I think this could actually push forward. Just kind of missed that opportunity. More of my good infantry pushing forward. Firefly here killed by the 76. Killed the Hellcat though. And Rifles here getting smacked around a little bit, but now we do see a nice little counter push here. Soul Troop do have Piats though. So if that 76 gets too close, I might be able to do something against it. I'm not sure if I forgot about that Firefly or waited for reinforcements. Because as was correctly pointed out in a recent comment, I don't do this nearly often enough. Oh, but the 6-pounder finds a kill. Yeah, I think I was actually moving that into position. But yeah, Noizi, of course, realizing that this would be the next flag that it was going to lose, so trying to reinforce with some armored rifles PAR. And he still has that Sherman there. Now I'm calling in more Shermans, which might not be the best idea if there might be infantry there with bazookas. I spotted the recon steward and decided to go for it, as my rifle speed was still pressured by that, and I couldn't really get past it. I'm not really sure if it gets the kill. It does. And does some damage and pinning. I'm pushing forward now, trying to cut across here. Half-track is here in position though. Can the Piat kill it? It can not. Is it out of range? That should not be out of range. I don't know what it is. But the Piat is not shooting. Interesting. Did not even notice that. And south I kind of hit a wall. I really tried to push forward to get into this flag, but the 50 gal here, the 76, as well as the armored rifles MG, did a great job at preventing me from this. And I'm actually really thin on that. I'm not actually super strong. And if you look at the map, it is relatively equal. There's maybe even a little bit more red. No, not maybe. There's more red than blue. Now, some of it is half tracks, but still, I think at this point I didn't trade too well. And we have another push from Noizi up for this flag. So it's 15 minutes left and there's still only on 13-11 and back to 12-12 actually. Rifles pushing forward. Yes, my paratrooper infantry, Piat infantry doing some work. Now this thing is actually not great because you have two stands. I think if you compare it with, do we have some regular rifles Piat somewhere that are left? I don't think so. I think regular rifles Piat have one stand or none maybe. Not 100% sure. I think it's actually a tiny bit worse, or it has less men. I think that's it. That's it. It has no. Yeah, no, never mind me. I don't know what I'm talking about. And I was kind of. This is a common mistake too, one that I do, and I think a lot of other people do as well. I was hoping for my steward to kill one of these and then kill the other with the P47, but my steward didn't kill anything and my P47 didn't kill anything. I was really sad there. My CQC infantry here though, the raider trade, doing what it does, being super annoying, but unfortunately it doesn't have a Piat, so it can't defend itself against those. And the Piat one is actually pinned. But it is one of the mistakes that I was going to mention, is pushing units forward to somewhere where they are needed at the time you call them in, and not at the time calling them in a position where they are definitely going to be in a good spot by the time they arrive. And I'm way too close. Infantry is not here because it died, and the armored rifles PR is pushing forward. Kills off one Sherman. Is getting smacked around a little bit, but is reloading the bazooka and kills it on 2 Shermans lost here. That was a massive loss right there. That was absolutely horrible. And now finally I go for the Sherman here as I now spotted. P-47 is going to go for it, gets a kill, and the air spam continues. Not a P-47 already coming in. I just ignored the M15 at this point. It was also running low on ammo, so I don't really mind. I was calling it for the tank that was here, but that was already died. Down south, not really much changed. I think Noizi wasn't really in the spot to counter push at this point, and I didn't really have any tools to continue a push at that point. But up north, still a lot going on. My Sperrverband Piat manages, I think he managed to kill that. Yeah, I saw him moving through, decided to push for it, but he kind of pushed further than I expected, tried to move into a good position. And the Piat gets a kill. Now, these two are out in the open, so the Piat unit there managing another Piat missed up north. I mean, it was kind of very, very suppressed. But yeah, this one fighting two units, both of which were out in the open. So it did a lot of damage to suppression, but ultimately lost due to the 2-on-1. Hellcat here, finding the Firefly, gets a bailed out. I was definitely not mad at that. Piat here killing it off at the half track, but this flag lost once again back to 12-12 to Noizi. And you know, time is the timer is not going to go longer, right? Time is only going to run shorter and shorter for me. So at some point there is really a necessity to make a counter push. And one of the things that is definitely a big takeaway here for me, especially if we're looking at these like small pushes up here, is first of all, don't rush things in blindly, and the second thing is, make a push when you're ready. Don't make a push when you feel like you need to make a push. And for heaven's sake, one thing to learn from this is, as something that Koenig also suggested to me at some point, is bring things in a little bit further back. Also, don't unload your infantry, for example, necessarily at the start, and put them somewhere where it still gives you the freedom to use it for wherever you need it. Not doing this. And it's back to 12-12 already after I had a 14-10 for a brief moment, re-grabbing these two flags. Before the Sunday was called in, but I didn't really have anything to do for it. 25 Pioneer 4 once is actually being silent as well. It has never been counter-battered. I was really surprised about that. I was expecting this to be counter-battered. So I think I moved it once or twice after the M7 was firing at some things. And then I just kind of got used to it not being fired at. 13-11 once again for me. But if you look at the timer, that's going to be a close one. So more is needed. And of course, I do have to prevent Noizi from getting more flags again, because he is still doing applying a lot of pressure. He just pulled in away from Armored Rifles BR for the town and is now trying to make a push for this. Sherman here is getting into position. Rifles also getting in position. And I do have a 6-pounder up here, we can spot this. So this was a little bit of a desperate push, I feel like, and one that, fortunately for me, was not well supported. So I did have some chance of stopping that, actually. Now let's just unload it in the open. B-47, I don't really know what that was doing. This one, I was also not really sure what that one was doing. All of a sudden, Armored Rifles BR are pushing me back here. Now I finally managed to grab this, and bring it to 15-9. So now I just need to secure this. And now the deep waves of planes come. I've relied a lot on these. I probably bought them too early, but so far it has been worked out for me because there was not enough AA. Just bombing this as I was not really sure if I could deal with this otherwise. And now there's not really much here. This flag goes to me. Sherman here is in a weird spot. Somehow managed to kill the pin the Armored Rifles BR before they can kill it. Rifles BR pushing forward now. More of my good infantry just keep moving forward now, trying to get the flag, trying to get ground. I leave them out now just to, you know, have them ready right away when I need them somewhere. And that's kind of my plan here right now. Just whenever something shows, kill it with planes. That's bomb it. That's kind of the idea. I'm going after this again. I think I just kind of blind guess on where it might be based on the front line here. And it looks like it was correct. I could have bombed it at this point too, that would probably have been more efficient. And now I decided to go for Sherman again. There's still the M15 here, running low on ammo, but it still has plenty of ammo. And this is flying from quite a far distance, but the Sherman finally goes down. P-47 manages to get out. Two more coming in already, I don't really know what for, maybe for whatever just died here. But yeah, all of a sudden it's 18-6. Of course not going to last because you can re-grab the flag here. But with 10 minutes left, I now really need to make ground. I really need to push. So I'm doing just that. Trying to make the best that I can. Pushing forward with infantry as well. Armored rifles PR has to move because of the house was destroyed. Spitfire immediately going for it. Gets the pen. Soul Troop and Spadro something pushing forwards to secure things right there. Bring that flag to me as well. Bring me the 18-6 because I felt like I really wanted to have this comfortable push for me, tick for me right now, so that I can be sure to be able to win this. And all of a sudden, Noizi is looking really weak at the front line, but he's done a great job at holding on so far, and he has been a major pain for me with so many units. So desperately trying to push back. My Piats are trying to prevent that. CQC trying to stop the armored rifles now on the run. This, of course, is a bit of a problem. Once again, CQC units do not have Piat, so that's a little bit of an issue there. Nice play here with half-track, but of course the bubble will burst eventually. P47 being called over here. I don't want to fly over the A. And then it was being... I think it should go after the Rhino at some point. Right now it's just circling. There we go. Now the Rhino is targeted. As of course, I was very much afraid of this. Understandably so. 20 to 4 for a brief moment. And there we go. Rhino should... No, Rhino doesn't die. I don't know why the rifles didn't push forward with these. I could have killed that, but there we go. Noizi surrenders after 42 minutes, 31 seconds. He had a great push to start and in B phase, and he held on quite nicely. I outrated him eventually, though. I think mostly to the air spam, I'm going to be honest. I don't think I really played that super well on the ground at all. And Noizi pushed super nicely. I think I have to say, though, I think my early kind of Humber rush achieved more than it should have. Probably. But I'm not sure if I could be in a better spot if I had actually properly pushed somewhere instead of doing the Humber rush. I mean, that's because I still lost the center for a bit. So it's not like it won me the center and the south. That's definitely not the case. So I'm not really sure what to think of it. It was a try. It was something. It was maybe a little bit disgusting, but yeah. So, and I mean, you can see how many of them died super quickly. To the Sherman there, the M1 gun. His Hellcat also did a lot of work. Look at that go. M7 actually quite underwhelming. He did some pinning though. Another M475. I think that one was. That might have been the one up north. It was also in a very annoying spot for me. Can never really take this out. My Shermans, of course, couldn't really pen it. I don't know what happened to... Oh, the 6-pounder was the one on the hill that was on efficient shot. Whoops. And then the Stewart here killing... I think this I remember. I tried to kill it with my Honey Stewards, and I was getting a bit mad that both of them died. I mean, they're no vet versus one vet, but you would expect the 2-on-1 to go in your favor, but it just didn't. Rhino here killing 2 6-pounders. Yeah, that hurt. The 105 also, I lost a lot of my 6-pounders in the center, and that was a really bad play, I have to admit. I probably should have some of them, because they also kill things, but I think it was kind of doing a little bit too much, and just wasting away so many Vickers there too. Yeah, not a Steward killing so many things from me. That kind of hurt. He played really well with his Stewards, and I played really bad with my Stewards. I have to put that. To put that there, and of course the Armoured Rifles killing 2 shots. That was just horrible. I don't know what I was thinking there. Not much, evidently. Humber actually killing 2 mates, got quite lucky there. Although there was a ton of Humbers, so it's not that surprising. It's more surprising that one got 2 kills and not 2 got 1 each. But I mean, can't complain about that in any way. Humbers, I mean, they actually did something. I mean, even this one already paid itself off because, I mean, this actually trades up. It is cheaper than the M8. So in that regard, I think the Humber play might actually have been good. 6-pounder here. I mean, it stopped things. This one as well. I mean, I think the early 6-pounders in the center actually were 100% worth it, and they pay off. Sherman here stopping some light armor too. Spitfire really did not do much. It killed some units that were low health already. Would I say that the Rocket Spitfire is decent play? No. If you want to have a fighter that has some extra functionality, I still think it's better to buy this instead of to get this instead of the regular Spitfire. I think that was my reason there. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah. meh. 25 pounder actually did a lot of work. I mean, this thing, I had only one arty piece and it did a lot of work throughout the whole game. And this is kind of how I feel tournament games often go. If you play them a little bit dynamic, right, and don't just, if both players just decide to go for the arty wars, different things. But if you try to apply some pressure and be somewhat dynamic, usually 1 or 2 arty pieces are really enough. You had some of the mortars, of course, but you only had 1 proper arty piece too. Mortars were really annoying and really well used by him, I have to say. Though one Sherman here, look at this finger. I think that was the one up north in that little flanking position. Killed so many transport and light armor and whatnot. Like, this thing was an absolute MVP. And then Honeysuit, I mean, this is what I brought it for, right? To deal with all those half tracks. And it did. It did. I mean, here we have the opposite situation. Honeysuit actually, oh no, it's just 1. Oh, this one was also A-Suit, but it's an MA Scott. Never mind. And of course, rifle speed. This is why I thought that, or one of the reasons why I thought Wessex could handle 4CS is to Piats. Then a Sherman here doing some more stuff. More 6 pound. Okay, maybe losing them to the 1 of 5 was actually worth it. Didn't realize how much they killed in the center. And then we have the S-Spam. And I mean, this was just disgusting at that point. Firefly actually doing way more than it should have done too. Although it was 2, so I guess the other one just died without killing anything. So it all goes to this one, but it did definitely well. The rocket plane also doing a lot of work. I think it paid itself off at this point. Maybe not. But in terms of what I could achieve thanks to it, it certainly did. And then, yeah, it just goes on and on. This was an absolute... this was so much killing on both sides. But yeah. And then the plane spam kicks in. But yeah, great game. GG's Noizi also, and once again, he actually played super well game 1, super nice game 1, which I would have casted to if it was at a good length to cast, which unfortunately isn't. But game 1 is also a good one to learn from, so I will probably do a strategy talk out of it. You can see an amazing push by Noizi and a really bad way on my side to handle it. And I think this is definitely worth covering because there's a lot of lessons to be learned from that. And on both ends of the spectrum, actually, because it's not a very classical push. I can tell you that much, and I think that is worth pointing out. But yeah, we're gonna get to that at some point in the future. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great day, and see you next time.